Hello, highly esteemed viewers, it's your buddy and longtime friend Magonza, and this video is intended more for a specific niche audience, which is the MKX community. As some of you might know, the MK balance patch came out today, October 4th. They talked about it yesterday, October 3rd, on the live stream on the NetherRealm channel on twitch.tv, and I took some notes on that, and on top of that, they issued the balance patch notes themselves with detailed rundowns of every character individually, as well as with the overall gameplay adjustments. And quite frankly, I understand everyone's concern about it. There are a lot of overhauls, but some people see the changes as they see it as an entirely different game. And Ed Boon was said it best probably when the stream started off. He's trying to say that he wanted to minimize the that is what a balance patch is. Minimize the distance between middle tier to high and low. He wanted to bridge that gap a little closer as he could. But the way in which he said it really struck a chord with me. He was saying not all the characters have been touched greatly, but by the overall gameplay adjustments and some of the major tweaks to particular characters, that makes the untouched characters inherently better. Now the reason that this rings true, I believe, is because the one thing that they touched on hugely, well, two things that they touched on hugely, was the stamina bar and the reduction of armor. It's like a simultaneous reduction and over injection of armor. Some moves are now steroid armor. They got 2 hits, 3 hits. Others, armor's gone. Personally, I think the main reason they did that is because there wasn't a huge variety of moves. There were a lot of moves that you could do instead of others that would produce the same effect. So, like Reptile, for instance, there wasn't really much incentive to use the overhead claw pounce, even though it was really good, and a very good Reptile would use it instead of the slide to throw people off or whatever. But people just used the down back too, which was just like a regular little claw strike that would also be a combo starter. I think it still does the combo starter with the pop-up, but it doesn't have the armor anymore, and neither does the claw pounce. So you have to really pick and choose what moves you do now, and it sort of opens up the character's move list to whoever's using them, which I respect the idea. We'll see how it works out, honestly. The other one, stamina tweak, that one's actually pretty huge, because it jumped up from, in order to start a run, you would burn 15% of your stamina bar. Now, to start a run, it's 25%. What that means is that characters that depend on whose rushdown depends on cancels, fireball cancels, whatever it is, Johnny Cage's A-list cancels, Jax's heavy weapon cancels, Scorpion's hellfire cancels, Liu Kang's fireball cancels. Those are all greatly affected by this, because it will reduce the cycles that you can do in your cancels, as well as something else that's pretty big, which would be the if you get poked out of your run. Let's say you started running, you already burned 25%, and you're burning those extra percentages as you're running. If you get touched while you're running, you lose 50% right away. So that's a guaranteed 75% plus whatever distance you ran, which, it's rounded up to 80%. So if you're doing your fireball cancels and you choose your second cycle to be a high hit, and somebody low pokes you in the midst of that, you just lost all your stamina, and now you're forced to block. Now, if you're fighting another character who's also very good at, rush cancels or whatever, you've got yourself a problem, because now you've just been jailed with no possibility of a combo breaker until about 4 or 5 seconds have passed. This is huge, because now it makes you think before you run, so to speak. Other characters in particular, like Alien. Alien was scaled down significantly. He's been normalized. I think they addressed the problem that honestly I had with him. He was too much of an alien. He wasn't very human. His anatomy was different. The tail would throw you off. You couldn't really see his moves at first. He was just a beast. Or she. Could be she. I don't know. Alien was just a beast. But now they've really toned him or her down. And, respectively so. Other characters, people think they've shone the foot, like Quan Chi doesn't have that ridiculous sword overhead, which was, it was like his best tool, I think. I don't know how many times I've lost to that in particular. Sonya Demolition can only do one of each type of grenade in a combo. In one combo, so you can't do like 3 shot grenades anymore for those insane corner carries. I'm sure there's a way around it now, because they sort of tweaked the explosion grenade a little bit so it's easier to combo off of it, but we'll have to see. One that I'm actually really hyped for is Fisticuffs Johnny Cage. They introduced that the meter burn thing, where when he pumps his fist together, and then you can do a meter burn now and cancel that with like another move. I think that's really cool, because that move used to be ridiculous to pull off. You try to throw it in, and then 9 times out of 10 you'd get kicked in the face because of it. So I'm glad they fixed that. But overall, these do change the game's core mechanics. It makes it a lot heavier on the neutral, and by that it's when people say like a neutral in a fighting game, they mean that section where nobody's hitting another person. You're both a respectable distance away, and you're just kind of seeing what moves the other person throws out, reacting to them. It's just how you get in, what moves you're using to create that metaphysical pressure that isn't really happening. It's sort of like the mind game. It's the meta, and the neutral just became insanely important. You can notice it too. If you look at the patch notes, which I'll put in the description, and I'll make a future video with detailed individual character patch notes, you can see that a lot of moves have been sped up rather quickly for neutral things. Like Burt Reicho's that little flame arch that he does with his hands in the Dragon's Fire variation, or Dragon's Breath, it's a lot faster now, because they want you to be throwing stuff out. They're taking a little bit of Street Fighter approach, and they want you to throw moves out in the neutral to fake out opponents, which I don't think that's bad. It's a different outlook on MK that they're trying to take, I think. But it's important to know that they aren't overhauling the game. MK is still MK. It's just a new little. They're trying to revamp it to keep interest in, and that's something that I think really stands out from these patch notes. It's the idea that NetherRealm doesn't plan on dropping this game anytime soon. Not when Injustice 2 comes out, not a month from now, not 5 months from now. I think this game has a respectable, I'd say about a year's worth of life left in it. Which is pretty good, like a good fighting game usually lasts about 2 to 3 years. It's respectable. So, and there's still going to be, pop bonuses for tournaments and whatnot. But, yeah, I guess these were just sort of my thoughts on it. A little recap of the balance patch rundown that went down yesterday, live stream NetherRealm. And over the next few days, I'm going to be working on an individualized character-by-character patch note thing. Just sort of, breaking down the changes into a layman's sort of take on it. Maybe you're not big on frame data, or maybe you don't want to translate what the down 2s and down 1s mean, so you just kind of want to make it a little easier for you. Bridge the gaps between a novice player and an intermediate one. Because only experience and your own techniques is what's going to take you to that advanced level. But Anyways, I appreciate you taking the time to hear this geek talk about geeky things in his geeky world. And I'll see you all on the next one. Thank you so much.
Gotcha! Finish him! Gotcha! All in a day's work.